Welcome to the Solemn YuGiOh channel where we discuss everything collecting and investing in YuGiOh. Now, today will be a very technical video, I want to say. So I'm very aware that this will not be a mega popular video. However, I do think it's crucial for people who don't want to be losing money. So stick with me here. I'm also gonna have to bring a lot of context and nuance because otherwise, once again, we're gonna get into very iffy territory, let's say. So to explain my background, I own a software company. That is where my income comes from. I did go through the 2017 crypto boom and bust. I did not over leverage myself on it. I did not go crazy on it. I just had some play money in it, let's call it that, because I found it interesting. I saw it as a learning experience, and that it was. I learned a lot. And so the things that people now get mad at me over, I'm just like, I get it, because I saw the same sentiments 3 years ago. It's so interesting how history just repeats itself. So beyond that, I've also had a Vanguard store selling those cards. I'm definitely also in that vendoring stuff. And so today we are gonna delve into that more financial aspect. So as much as I love the cards, like I love these cards, I love YuGiOh cards. I love YuGiOh. I love collecting these. When we talk about collecting, I will be all about the passion. But when we get into the more financial side, I do have to disconnect from that passion for a second. If you do not know what happened, in 2017, every single person, not all, but okay, many people thought, crypto, that's the future. I'm going to invest in crypto because my nephew, Bobby, who is very stupid, made a lot of money. If a dumbass like him can make so much money, then I can too because I'm actually smart, unlike him. So now I'm also gonna pump money into this. I'm gonna tell my friends and please sign up with to my BitConnect, and then I get an affiliate and then I get Bitcoin from this, and I saw it all. Everyone went crazy on this. And so it rose insane amounts, meteoric amounts. And if you don't know, after a while, it stopped. It crashed all the way back down. We can go into the Bitcoin price charts here. As you can see, boop, everyone, yeah, I'm gonna make so much money, so much money, so much money. Hey, wait a second. Now today, once again, you're back up. So I'm not disputing the existence of this market, but I am saying a lot of people lost money back then because a lot of people did sell out of fear in this downturn, let's say. I'm not saying that you can say trading cards are the same as crypto. Clearly, they are different animals. Crypto built on blockchain might have very interesting results in the future in the sense that it can be implemented in different ways. And so there's some technological fundamentals there. Now, one may argue, yes, but BTC has nothing to do with that implementation because it's literally a dinosaur. It's so slow, it would be slower than fucking Visa. And I feel you on that. But you know, crypto is just a alternative currency, let's say, and has a lot of technological backing. Whether that justifies value, let's leave it at that. Meanwhile, cardboard is just cardboard, but it has the inherent value in the sense that there are collectors who really want these things. And a lot of these are very rare. Blue Eyes White Dragon, LOB and SDK, less than 100 in PSA 10. There's some natural scarcity there, some organic collectability. And so that has that going for it. However, if the majority of your market starts looking at the speculative side and you have people entering the market who don't care for that, a lot of your value can actually start moving like these cryptocurrencies. Now, I'm not saying, once again, that they are comparable in any way when it comes to their fundamental basis, because obviously they're completely different things. No one will say, oh, this little bit of code is the same as this Toon Mermaid, clearly. But the way markets move can be analyzed in similar ways. And again, a lot of Pokemon YouTubers and financial card YouTubers don't want to talk about that because, well, maybe they are incentivized to not talk about it like that. So I hope I create enough context. I know a lot of people clicked off by now, but that's okay, because the people who did watch, I hope you at least learned something. So we look at Bitcoin to USD's price chart right here. So this is around when I was very into this and followed it. But I did not own any Bitcoin. I owned altcoins. Yeah. Again, I wasn't trying to be rich. I was just looking at this like a really interesting experience. And so as you can see, Bitcoin reached its peak, I want to say around, let's say, December 11th. It's hard to know for sure the exact day without zooming in, and I don't want to zoom in because we need the overall trends, let's say. There's a lot of people who made money by playing in these little hour windows, even minute windows, but that's not what we're going to be about here. So peak around here, right? December 11th. So Bitcoin was the big daddy. This was the one most people knew. If the news spoke about crypto, they were mostly talking about, oh, Bitcoin, all-time high, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. I want to somewhat compare that now to Pokemon, where the news is like, oh, Pokemon just stopped, Pokemon just this, Pokemon just that. And the news is never, ever gonna talk about everything else. There's so much more, but your typical headline reader isn't interested in knowing more. They are not gonna even click, they're just gonna read that headline. So to me, when we talk about the highest volume being traded, that was Bitcoin, and the highest volume being traded in Pokemon, in trading cards, that's Pokemon. When we talk about media attention, the amount of people who were aware of what was happening, Bitcoin feels like Pokemon. But again, you cannot compare these as similar assets. It's not what I'm saying. You know, again, this has the organic collectability, the scarcity in that sense. They are also far less liquid. There's a lot of things going for and against this compared to the other one. And again, there's a technological basis for blockchain and so forth. But we are speaking from a speculators moving in without interest in all of that, because those are the ones moving prices at some point. So you see this peak, December 11th. We noticed Pokemon peaking, I want to say a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, essentially around the Logan Paul thing. Logan Paul released his thing, the mainstream went crazy, a lot of other YouTubers jumped on it, and Pokemon just started pumping up. And if you go to PSA chart from there, it's all down, down, down. People are still trying to dispute this, but after this site, we will go into PSA and check out some price reports, because that is hilarious. Not if you actually consider the people who have lost a lot of money, of course, except for, of course, the first edition PSA 10 WotC. But again, that doesn't mean things can't recover. That's not what this is about. It's about these short-term blips here. I want to compare it to Pokemon. It's the big daddy. Most people know. Even if you don't know shit about anything, that is still going to be the one you know, because of the headlines. And so what happens is, a lot of people notice around this peak, wow, Pokemon is so high right now, all-time high. I don't want to invest. But you know what's not high yet? These alternative coins. So let's move to some other alternative coins. Let's go to Ethereum right now. We know there's a very similar peak, right? A peak and a boom decline. But when was that peak? Well, let's see. January 8th? Around January, let's say 2 or 3 weeks later. Some could argue maybe even a month later. But so what you notice is people thought, damn, Bitcoin is so expensive that no way that's still gonna hold. What I'm now gonna do is, I'm gonna go for the coin that's still cheap. And so the coin that's still cheap went up. Now after a while, that bubble too had to pop. All the way back down. And you know, some recovery, cool, like that's all cool. We're talking about these short-term big movements right now. So that was later. So it's not that the entire crypto boom, everything moved at once. It's kinda together, but those few week differences can really, really matter when you are trying to market time, let's say. My theory, but again, I'm no crypto expert. I'm not claiming to be one at all. Seriously, like if I go into these indicators, probably half I don't know. I'm just speaking from the experience I had from back then. So a lot of people like, whoa, it's too expensive, so I'm gonna move into these other coins because they are still undervalued. They're not 20,000 yet. What if I buy Ethereum at 500 and then suddenly it'll be 20,000 as well? Look how rich I will be. So peak 3 to 4 weeks later. Now we go XRP. What do we notice? XRP's peak, January 1st. Once again, that alternative coin happened to go up later, after the whole Bitcoin shenanigans. Okay, we're starting to see some pattern here. EOS, interesting, reached, well, it's a bit of a weird one, but you know, you notice how on December 11th, it was barely a thing yet, and then started reaching its peak here, and actually in May even. That's really weird. Again, if you are an EOS trader, maybe you can tell me more. But so you notice all of these peaks on these alternative coins tend to come a bit later. And their retraces also came a bit later. Now we can definitely go through 10,000 other big coins. That is all fine. We're now back on the BTC chart. But essentially what I'm trying to show you is a lot of these major altcoins saw their pumps later and saw their declines later. Now, what have I been saying on this channel? I've been saying, long term, I believe in Yu-Gi-Oh! However, in the short term, we have seen this insane boom. And then Pokemon saw its heavy retraces, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still booming. We haven't seen those retraces yet. And I was like, why? That's so odd. In general, these markets move together. And that is true. They do somewhat move together. The interest that media creates around Pokemon generally tends to lead to some people going, hey, what about this other thing? And they start looking into it. And so there's a bit of crossover, spillover that way. But so I wondered, why is this not retracing yet? That's so weird to me. But if I then tap back into my experience in these times, I start noticing, whoa, wait a second. This may be why. Now again, I'm not saying crypto is this. They are very crucially different things. But when you have speculators entering your market and overtaking the amount of organic interest and all of that, you do tend to see some analogies. And so what if, like I said, Bitcoin is somewhat like a Pokemon, while a Magic the Gathering, a Flesh and Blood, even a Yu-Gi-Oh! Is more like an altcoin? What if the retraces will come later because the people who noticed, hey, Pokemon is so high, it's at its all-time high, I'm priced out, I will go into the thing that's still undervalued. So these speculators entered that Yu-Gi-Oh! And MTG and Flesh and Blood and so forth later. Now I will say, all of these collectibles assets had been moving hard already due to the pandemic. So it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Was not doing anything before Pokemon, but a lot of that really big, constant doubling, that came later. And so I wanna say, and again, you can't time the market, I'm not saying I can predict the future, but if I look at that experience, I assume that our retrace will probably come as well in the near future, just like an altcoin compared to BTC. Now that doesn't mean that everything will go to zero or that there's no potential anymore or nothing in the future, but in the short term, I do think we will see prices go down. And you know, I had been saying that on videos already, like it's possible that that will come. But then I also started saying, why hasn't it happened yet? And I think this is actually a really good explanation for why it has not happened yet. So just be aware of that, you know. If you're dying of FOMO right now, thinking, oh wow, I will never be able to afford some of these cards again. Maybe you will. However, do note, some cards are so rare that they probably just won't leave the hands of people. And that is a very big difference between this and the BTC and the crypto and so forth. Again, they are very different asset classes, so you can't just make blanket comparisons. Even Pokemon's retraces were not as aggressive as the ones we saw in Bitcoin, I want to say, but they were still there. And a reason that those retraces aren't as harsh, in my opinion, is that these are far less liquid. It is much harder to buy this and then you wait long and get it in the mail, and then you need to relist it and wait for a buyer and ship it out. And there's not as many, you know, there the trading volume, it's you have thousands of people buying and selling every second. Here, that's not really the case. There's really only a couple thousand of these, maybe per week, maybe per day, depending on the hype and the booming and if you want to add the modern or not. So because of that lack of liquidity, it's way harder to have massive sell-offs. And again, there's also just collectors who wanted to own these cards. Like, even if I bought a card during the bull market, it doesn't matter because a lot of them I didn't necessarily buy to make a quick flip and the instant money and to get rich. So it's not like you can just map this price trend and go, oh yeah, so that's exactly what's gonna happen. That is not very realistic. But there are lessons to be learned. And I hope that if you didn't go through this thing or you didn't follow it as specifically, maybe you can still draw some lessons from this channel to then make more informed decisions. So now that we had that, I wanna move into the PSA price trends from the past months because those are very interesting as well. So we are on the PSA side for Pokemon right now. The reason is the price trends for Yu-Gi-Oh! Really don't show you much because these cards are so much less available and not mass graded yet. So you maybe have one sale every month and so your price trend is just 2 lines, so you can't learn much from it. But however, you really can on Pokemon. Look at this. So we're currently at the PSA 9s of Charizard, Holo First Edition. So PSA 9, you notice just healthy growth. This is the kind of growth that you should expect in somewhat of a healthy market. You know, it gradually goes up, you made some really solid gains, but you're not going double and double and double and double. And so, as you notice here, beginning of pandemic, you see that the trend go up quicker. But here, people were already saying it's a bubble. If you notice a bit later, that's when maybe you enter into some really iffy territory. Look at the PSA 9s. In the beginning of the year, you could still buy one for 5,000. And then, on the highest peak, for 55,000. Now, obviously, as the hype waned, that crashed back down, because instantly we had 3 more sales at 37, and right after 36, and right after 35. So it was looking once again for its prices. And so if you bought that at 55, well, sorry, you're probably gonna have to hold quite a while to see that price again, if ever. Because another interesting thing you have to note is that people are mass grading right now. Thousands. We are seeing this pop report right here. When you check the entire base set Pokemon pop report, I think it's currently at 207,000. We see that go up every week with multiple thousands. So people are sending these in. Now you can say, oh, it's the base set unlim. That's kind of true, but still, a lot of these pop reports are going to be more fleshed out than ever before. And so the lower grades are the ones that mostly will get fleshed out. If you thought that a pop of 36 on your 5s was correct, it wasn't. People just never sent in 5s until all of this happened. You know, it may take a while, even if there's a lot of future in Pokemon, for this 55 to come back, because by the time this is done crashing, if it crashes further, it's possible that a lot of 9s will still have entered the market, and perhaps by flippers who had no intention to hold. So we can't know for sure, you know, this will just gradually balance itself out, and in a few months or even years we can look back on this and see like, wow, that's actually what happened. Be aware of that. We are seeing a second grading wave, kind of similar to Pokemon Go era, where you had the first big boom, I want to say. Now obviously, as you can see, a lot of growth was already happening, but slightly before this is actually where Pokemon Go era happened. Now I want to show you, we can go into the 10s, and there we just see, okay, that had steady growth, just like 9s, until boop, you could buy a 10 for 36k in 2019, and then it sold for 300k. Notice how there's a lot of dots missing here, and that's because PSA can't track in real life sales. So a lot of these like Logic and Logan Paul and so forth are missing here, but notice how we have not seen massive declines yet, because it's just more rare. People who own these either don't intend to sell or are rich enough that they don't have to sell in a decline. So again, you notice the thing we always say, these are more insulated. The truly rare cards are more insulated. But you could argue, heck, a 9 base set Charizard is still rare. And yeah, it is more insulated, just still, oof. Because if we go to, let's say, the 5s, look at these 5s, actually didn't move that much. So we had our 500, went up. Here is when we noticed our peak, and then a gradual drop off. So the low point is 6.7 and the high point was 12. So you lost about 50%, whereas on your 9 you lost only 30%. Still hurts a lot. Like a lot. I wonder if ones actually yeah, okay, so there's not a lot of sales on ones, because who the hell sends those in? But even there you lost more than half of your money actually, 7.9 to 3.1. So you notice the bubble, people get very angry at the B word, and I get it. It's because people don't understand what a bubble really is. It doesn't mean stuff goes to zero. It doesn't mean there's no value, but it just means that there were a lot of people speculating on things going way higher beyond proportion. And once that pops, once people realize, whoa, this is not sustainable at all, you then have a steep decline. That doesn't mean stuff will go away. It's just that people who have incentives in those markets don't want to use the word bubble, because that scares people, and that scares people away from a market, and then they are afraid that the market will become invalidated and lose a lot of speculators or investors, which they need to keep that market going. So people will be scared of using the bubble word when it clearly was one, and that's okay. That doesn't mean the market is invalid. Again, if you bought Bitcoin, let's say here in 2018, you're still up way insane high. Now again, this could pop as well. I'm not saying it won't, I'm not saying it will. No one can predict the future. But so I'm hoping that this was an interesting explanation for you. I really think that the retraces will be coming for all collectible card games. I think Flesh and Blood will drop hard. I think MTG will drop hard. I think YuGiOh will drop hard. And when I say drop hard, like, be aware, a 20% dip in stock markets is insane. That is hard. Now you may say, oh, if my card goes down 20%, that's not a big deal. From a collector standpoint, it definitely doesn't matter. When I bought this, I did not think, whoa, this is going to be mega stonks. I just wanted this cool Toon card. But you know, even 20% is hard, but it could be more and could be less. No one can predict the future. But so if we see a retrace, I think this little BTC to altcoin comparison was a valid one. And I want to see how right or wrong I was, essentially. That's why I'm uploading it. So that is all. Hope this was a learning experience. If you have any questions, pop me in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.